Ciminillo, and today's car du jour is a Mirai. And if you've never seen this vehicle, you're not alone, because it's only available for sale in California. But this is a really cool vehicle because it is a fuel cell vehicle. So it's basically an electric vehicle without needing to plug it in. So I just want to talk a little bit about what the Mirai is. We'll do a quick walk around, and I'm going to give you some driving impressions. We're going to talk about how you actually fuel it up, and I'm going to tell you why I'm kind of ticked off right now. So let's take a closer look right now.
All right, let's take a look at the exterior of the vehicle. Now, this Mirai was all new for the 2021 model year, and so you have styling that is a little bit more modern and a little bit less polarizing. I think that's probably the phrase. If you saw the previous generation Mirai, that was a really unique and unattractive, I'm just going to say it, unattractive vehicle. But this has a little bit more of a modern feel to it, and it definitely looks like a Toyota, especially if you go towards the front and you look at the grille. You can see that it has the shape there of the Toyota grille, but it also looks unique and different because, you know, it is unique and different. This is a fuel cell, so an electrical vehicle that doesn't need to be plugged in because it is powered by hydrogen. So let's just take a look under the hood and see what's going on there, because you don't have a frunk here. All right, before we go inside, I just wanted to take a quick look at what is under the hood, and yep, that is not an engine. That is actually the fuel cell. So you have the battery pack, which is going to be underneath the vehicle, but the fuel cell itself is where you would normally put the engine. In terms of other things you've got going on here, you have the wiper fluid there, and you have your fuses there. So, and then a lot of orange wires, which basically denote that that is electrical stuff, and you probably shouldn't touch it unless you know what you're doing. But yeah, that is what is under the hood. Now let's check out the inside. While the exterior definitely looks unique, and yeah, you look under the hood and there is a fuel cell instead of an engine or a frunk, the interior, I'm going to say it, it's probably going to look a little bit boring and normal in comparison. So you have these very attractive leather seats. You have, you know, the digital cluster right there. You have a really large screen for the infotainment system, and we'll power it up and we'll see what happens here, because this is actually kind of cool. That right there is pretty cool. I love how the intergraphic starts here and then pushes over to the infotainment screen. So what you didn't hear, obviously, was any kind of an engine startup. And yeah, because again, this is a fuel cell vehicle. Now, you do have this large Toyota infotainment screen, and we've seen something like this setup similar to the Toyota Highlander. And so you have this split screen going on. To the best of my knowledge, you cannot get rid of the split screen. You just can only change what is appearing on either side. But you do have some ability to change how this looks, so you can get the map to appear here in the big space. You know, you can get the audio to appear here in the big space, but this will never take up all of that. So you have to leave this space here for, this is your climate. You've got your heated seats over there. You can put your audio there. You can look at your fuel consumption, and then you have some configuration settings here. But yeah, that is what it is. And I didn't like it on the Highlander. I'm going to be honest. I didn't like it. And I'm not really a super fan of it here. I really just want the ability to have a full screen if I want the full screen. But that's where we are. Okay, so we'll take a quick look at the gear shift, because this is going to be very much like the Prius. If you're familiar with the Prius, you know, where you kind of pull it over and then you take it down for drive, and then it pops back into place. You can pull it over, put it back up if you're going to put it into reverse, and then you just press the button for park. So I'm going to say one of the reasons why I'm kind of annoyed by the fact that you have to leave this up here is you've got your redundant hard controls here, and heated and cooled seats, as well as, you know, dual climate control. So you and your person, significant other, husband, spouse, partner, passenger, can both be comfortable. Okay, so let's look at what's going on back here. So I like to leave this up because I like to see how I'm doing when I'm driving, and I'll be honest with you, the Mirai did not like how I was driving because I was really enjoying the instantaneous torque. So I think my average eco score was probably around 51. Definitely room for improvement there. But you have some options that you can page through. So this is a digital cluster, but it's not a very big one, and you know, it's not graphically beautiful, but you have some options of what you can see to what's going on back here. And you know, when you notice the dots, that means you can scroll up or scroll down in terms of you know, screen options. So yeah, like I said, I typically like to just leave it here and then there, so I can see what my eco score is and be shamed. But the interesting thing I'm going to show you is this right here. So you have this H2O button because the byproduct of a hydrogen vehicle is water, and you know, maybe sometimes this is going to fill up with water, and you can just hit this button and it expels the water. So like, water purge has completed. So well, I'll be honest, I pressed the button a couple times already because I was curious. There you go. So you have a button. In theory, you could probably drink it, but it's been inside a car. I probably wouldn't. Another cool high-tech feature you will see on this is this right here. So this is actually a rear camera mirror. So you look at it this way and you can see the reflection, but you flip that right there and it gives you an actual digital display out the rear of the vehicle. So if you have tall passengers sitting at the back, you can still actually see what's going on in the rear of the vehicle. So that's a nice feature we're starting to see on a lot of Toyota vehicles. Actually, we're starting to see it on a lot of vehicles in general. So rear camera mirror. Now, okay, so the one thing I didn't like on this vehicle, and we'll get into my driving impressions later, but and I'm not going to talk about this there because it's not really a driving impression, but this right here, I don't like. This is a really poor setup to charge your phone because there's nothing to hold it in here, and you have to keep your phone in a very specific location while it is on this pad or it will not charge. So I put my phone here while I was driving, and every time I turned a corner, it'd go and stop charging. So there needs to be a little bit of something going on around here to kind of keep it in place. And the pad itself should be a little bit more forgiving because it moves just a little bit and it's not going to charge anymore. So, you know, even if there was like a clip or something that would hold it into place, would make that better, but that's what you got. So you have a couple of cup holders going on over here, and I like the position because they aren't going to get in the way of your gear shift, and they aren't going to get in the way if you have your arm on the armrest. Or if you're doing anything over here. So I like the position of that. And if you don't want to use the wireless charging, you do have a couple of USB ports in here. So that's probably going to be your better option. And then you can just set your phone on the charging plate and, you know, maybe turn it off. But yeah, that was pretty much the only thing that I did not like about the 2021 Toyota Mirai. Let's hop in the back seat really quick and check that out. Moving into the back seat, the first thing I'm going to point out is you do have a dual pane moonroof, and so it brings a little bit of extra light into the rear seat, which is kind of nice. But really what I want to look at is this right here, and that's going to be your leg room. And this seat is going to be in a further back position, and you still have a solid 8 inches between my knee and the back of this seat. And I mean, obviously, if you look over there, that's my driving position, and that's oodles of limo-like room behind a short driver. But behind somebody who's more average, I think probably somebody who is an average-sized adult is going to fit fine behind another average-sized adult. So what else do we have going on here? We have some air vents, and we have USB-A charging ports. We've got a couple of them. So that is nice. And I will point out, this is not meant to be a 5-passenger vehicle, really. You do have the seat belt for the occasional rear passenger, but that is why. I mean, you put somebody in here and they are literally like going to be sitting like this. So in an emergency, I suppose you could do that, maybe with the booster seat, I don't know, but that is really not meant to be a 5-passenger vehicle, but you can make do in a pinch because there are seat belts. But what you do have is this right here, which has some cup holders, and then you have, woohoo, look at this, rear seat climate controls. So not a quad zone climate control, but you do have, and apparently it deactivates if you don't touch it fast enough, but you do have, tri-zone, so I can adjust the temperature for the vehicle back here. I can turn on cooled seats, I can turn on heated seats, because I'm that kind of person. And, oh wow, look, it also allows you to change the radio station and turn up the volume. That's not going to get annoying. But I really do like the fact that the passengers have some control back here to take care of really actually a lot of stuff. That's kind of cool. Yeah, definitely not going to be a 5-passenger vehicle unless it's absolutely necessary, because this is going to be really comfortable for 4 passengers. I like that. Yeah. While I'm back here, let's take a quick look at the sticker sheet, because I don't know about you, but I'm really not familiar with what fuel cell vehicles cost, what they do, how much the fuel economy is, but base price for this vehicle is going to be $66,000. And this doesn't have any options. No options. And so that's actually kind of cool. So this thing right here, this is not an option. That is standard. The climate controls in the front, not an option. That's standard. Navigation, the digital screens, this panoramic moonroof, not an option. What you see is what you get. Everything here is standard, and you get a lot of stuff. So this is pretty cool. I mean, it's expensive, and obviously you can't buy it everywhere, but there's a lot of nice technology, and really an electric vehicle that's powered by hydrogen is pretty cool. So I don't know, you may have caught it when I was going through the front. My combined driving, because again, wasn't driving gently, was about 48 mpge. This is really my first time in a fuel cell vehicle, and I'm finding all of this enlightening and fascinating. And we're at a fueling station with Norm Breedlove, and he's going to walk us through how you actually fuel a hybrid vehicle. Because if you're like me and you live in the Midwest, you've probably never done it before, and you probably aren't familiar with the fuel cell, and basically this is all really weird. So we're going to demystify it. We're going to look at how you actually fuel up a fuel cell. So by the way, I'm also going to point out, yeah, we're at a Shell. So let's take a look at how this actually gets done.
Okay, when you pull up to the station, the first thing you want to do, obviously, put your vehicle into park, turn the vehicle off.
You were going to say engine, weren't you?
I was going to say engine. And then put the parking brake on.
Okay, so you actually have to put the parking brake on?
Well, you don't have to. They just recommend in the owner's manual that you do that.
Okay.
Once you've done that, you come down here and you push on the fuel filler door, and that will open. If the vehicle is still on, this door will not open. Take off the dust cap, a little convenient holder for it right here. The fuel pump looks very similar to a regular fuel pump. So what you do is you come up, insert your card, enter your code, and it will talk you through the process. So let's say it's approved our card, processed everything, it's ready to go. It will tell us that we're ready to begin fuel. What you do is you lift up on the nozzle. This is one of two different types of nozzles. Hold on to the handle, and then you insert the nozzle onto the nipple, and it will click in place, and you'll know that it's ready to go when you see this yellow band. They suggest that you just give it a slight tug to make sure it's secure. Then what you do is you come over here and you choose your grade. This is an H70 vehicle, so we're going to push H70. The car talks to the machine talks to the car, it says how much fuel it needs, the fueling process begins. Once the vehicle is fueled, the pump will tell you that it's ready to take the nozzle off. One hand on the handle, one hand on the collar, pull back, it releases the nozzle. Put it back into place, tells you how much kilograms you have, and then the price. Today the price for a kilogram is $13.99. It's gone down $2.50 since yesterday. Don't know why, it just has.
And how many kilograms does this tank take?
This vehicle holds a little over 5 kilograms.
Okay. And can you also explain the difference between like H35 and H70? Like, because to me, as somebody who buys gas, I'm thinking 87 octane, 93 octane.
Right. That's what a lot of people think. They'll see H35 and then they'll see H70. So this must be regular and this must be premium.
Right.
That's not how it works. When hydrogen vehicles first came out, they used H35. H35 is 5,000 psi. That's what it'll fill the tank up at that pressure. H70 is 10,000 psi. The Mirai is an H70 vehicle, so it uses the 10,000 psi fuel. But if you are an emergency, for some reason H70 is not working, and you are at empty, below half a tank, you can use the H35 on an H70 vehicle, but it will only fill halfway. What you can't do is use H70 on an H35 because it's too much pressure. And the way the machine knows if you're doing that, there is an infrared sensor right here, this black circle, and it speaks to the car through this gray sensor. So if you happen to put an H70 on an H35, they're not talking to each other, so it will not fuel the H35. So once you're finished fueling, dust cap back on, close the door, off you go.
All right, so Norm made that look really easy, but as we all know, I'm about 5 feet tall, I weigh 95 pounds, and that looks a little bit hard to me. So I just wanted to run through and, from my perspective, show you if that's easy or difficult or not. So, okay, we already have this popped, pulling off the cap. That's really light. And he said, pull up and then pull it off. So that was easy. Hopefully I didn't break that there. And then you just put it on. Okay, the yellow cap is there. This is a little bit heavier, I think, than a regular gas nozzle, just because of all that is going on. And I'm going to point out, this is kind of cold. But I managed to get it on. It's secure. That wasn't that hard. Okay, so to pull it off, he said hand here, and then pull there, and you pull back. Okay, yeah. I can put it back on correctly. I think that's the hardest part, is trying to get it back in the slot.
There, you insert.
There you go. And then it's on. Okay, so that was the hardest part. This was really easy. So, yeah, if you're from the Midwest like I am, you've probably never seen something like this. We need this in the Midwest, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. All right, now it's time for me to tell you why I am ticked off. And that is because this is an amazing vehicle that you're probably not going to be able to buy. Because the hydrogen fueling infrastructure is really only in California right now. I think they said there's something like 47 stations in California area. Yeah, people in the Midwest, people in the Pacific Northwest, people in the East Coast, people in the South, you can't buy this vehicle, and that sucks. It really sucks, because this is an electric vehicle. It has that instantaneous torque, so you've got your nice little acceleration when you're changing lanes. But here's the thing, unlike an electric vehicle, it doesn't take you hours to bring it back to 100% charge. Basically, you go to a station, like we already saw, you plug in the fueler, and within 5 minutes, you have a full tank of hydrogen, and that converts the electricity so that you can drive. And this vehicle has 402 miles of range. That is awesome, and I want it, but I can't have it. So in terms of driving dynamics, in addition to the instantaneous acceleration, this is very maneuverable. So it changes lanes really well. It handles curves and corners pretty well. It's quiet, and I want it. I like it. I'm sad. No, I'm angry. I'm angry. I want more hydrogen fueling stations, because this is really that good. Now, one of the things that Toyota has done with the Mirai is they've piped in sound. So I don't know if you can hear it right now, but I'm in what they call normal mode, the normal drive mode. So this has just a little bit of sound when you hit the accelerator. And when you go here, so there's a couple of different modes. So here's the interesting thing. So when you toggle into eco mode, so let's see if we can do that right now. So we'll go down into eco mode. So first off, it has that little chime. I don't know if you heard that, and so now I'm in eco mode. All right, so now when I hit the accelerator, there's no sound. So it also puts it into silent mode, which I think is pretty interesting. But all right, so we're gonna go back to drive to the normal mode. A little bit of a louder chime. There's that piped in sound again. All right, so we're here in in this normal drive mode, and let's go to sport mode. Yeah, it's kind of an aggressive sound, and then the engine sound that's piped into the vehicle is even louder. So, and the interesting thing there, we've seen this on vehicles like the Mazda MX-30, is it's kind of giving you a sense of speed by doing that. There is a point to it, because then you understand, okay, I'm hearing the sound, I'm going faster, and then it kind of backs up a little bit when you are slowing down. So it gives you a sense of speed and feeling of driving faster. One of the problems with EVs oftentimes is you're just going the set speed, and or you're going fast and it's so silent you have no idea, audibly how fast you're actually going. You don't get that extra sense to help you know, oh, maybe I should slow down right now. But we'll toggle it back to normal mode. Again, the piped in sound changes. So I think that is interesting. Now, otherwise, in this vehicle, it's normal. I mean, it feels like an electric car. It looks more like a gasoline engined vehicle when you're on the inside. And then, the fueling station obviously works more like a gasoline engined vehicle. Yet, again, the byproduct is water. So I think this is a really cool vehicle, and I'm ticked off that I can't have it. So hurry up, people. Let's build hydrogen fueling stations in more locations, like, maybe Chicago. All right, that's all I have for the Toyota Mirai, but come back again soon and we'll take a look at a new car du jour. Toyota Mirai. So this is a fuel cell vehicle, which means that it has a fuel cell. Okay. So this is a vehicle. This is so nice idea. And I rambled there. I'm gonna do that little bit over. Doing anything in this space, so
I'm having trouble hearing.
darn Siri.